Hey guys, this is CK at CK Education, and today I want to talk about focus. Now, we all know focus as being something very important. I mean, it's critical that we have focus in anything we do. You want to achieve something, you got to focus on it. Dan Kennedy, the person that I talked about in previous videos, and he really taught me about successful entrepreneurship and how to grow your business and things like that. And I remember him saying that if you treat your business like a hobby, it'll pay you like a hobby. But if you focus on it and treat it like a business, it'll eventually pay you like a business. So if you want to make a lot of money in business, you got to focus on it. And so same thing, you know, when I teach my students, I say, you got to focus on these things. You can't be scattered in your mind. You can't, you know, do all these different studies and stuff. This is why some people think it's weird, but to parents, I always say, while your kid is waiting to begin with me, please have them do absolutely nothing related to SAT, because I prefer to start with kids from scratch, you know, because when they're scattered, when they've, oh, I've done this and I've done that and I've done this prep book and I've done that prep book and I went to this tutor and that, you know, the people do all these things and then like, yeah, it didn't work, and then you come to me. It's worse than if you had just come to me in the beginning, because it's all about focus. I teach you to focus on the right things and to master the right things. And so I understand the power of focus. It is so very important. When I talked about in previous videos about, you know, paying off your debts and so forth, you got to get focused on it. You can't say, well, I'm going to pay off my house, but I'm going to buy, you know, a nice car. And maybe this month I'll just kind of skip out on paying my, you know, paying more on my mortgage, and I'm going to, no, you can't do it like that. You got to be absolutely focused. But there's this other side of focus that I want to talk about. Focus is obviously very important. It's typically viewed as a positive thing. And it is. It can be. But it can also ruin you. I've seen focus ruin people. And you might, well, what do you mean focus ruins people? Just as an example, I've seen people who are very successful in their careers. They're so focused on their careers, they lose their family. They literally lose their family. I know families like this personally. They've gotten divorces. They don't even talk. The husband's wife, they don't even talk anymore. The kids don't even want to see their dad. The kids hate their dad. I've seen people who are so focused, and I'm sorry to say, most of the people whom I've seen do this the wrong way are guys. And you know, I've seen this one guy too. He was so focused on his business, and he's a successful business guy. It's a lot of money, makes a lot of money, but he was so focused on his business. Again, he's living in another state, and you know, he doesn't really have a relationship with his family, and his kids don't like him very much, and you know, he has deep regrets. I met this one guy. I don't know this guy. I just met him randomly one day years ago. And we just got to talking, and he was an older guy, and he looked at my family. You know, I was with my family. It was at an event, and he says, hey, you know, you got a beautiful family. And I thought he was just trying to make small talk, and I just said, hey, I appreciate it, thank you. And he just kind of stood by me, you know, and he eventually said to me, man, I give anything to have what you have, and go back and have what you have. You know, like I said, he was a little bit older gentleman. He seemed like a really nice guy and everything, but so we got to talking a little bit. Turns out that his kids are grown and they're all in other states, and he never gets to see them. They don't really come and visit. And he almost got, like, you know, sort of tears welled up in his eyes. And he just regretted not spending enough time and not spending time with his kids when he could, while he could. And so he was just so focused on his business, on his work and making money, that he regrets it. He regrets it deeply. Now, if you ask somebody like that, and all these guys that I'm just telling you about, when you ask those people, was it worth it that you focus on your family, you make all that money, you grow your business, and on, was it worth it? And they would all say to a person, no, not at that expense. It wasn't worth it like that. I mean, yeah, sure, I'd want to be successful in my business rather than a failure, but if it means losing my family, if it means my kids hating me, no, it wasn't worth it. Wouldn't want that. If I had to do it over, I'd do it over again. Every single one of those people would say that. And here's the thing. People focus on the wrong things. There are other examples. It's not just losing families. I know people personally who have been so focused on their work that they lose their health. And literally people, I've heard of and whom I know of, just one day they got a heart attack, they passed away, and they were very young. They were so focused. This is a sort of sad story. I had a uncle, and this is when I was in college. No, not when I was in college. I graduated from college, and so after I was in my early 30s or something, and my uncle was only in his 50s, mid to late 50s or something, and he passed away of lung cancer, and he didn't have any kids. He's so focused on his work, but his other focus was just having fun. I mean, he was like a kid. He was a grown kid, and he drank and just smoked a lot, too much. I remember him asking me to take him up to Seattle one day. This is when I was living in Washington State, and he called me and can you give me a ride up to Seattle? And it was about a 30-40 minute drive from where we were living. And I said, yeah, sure, uncle, what's up? Where is your car broken down? He says, no, man, my license is suspended. He had a DUI one time, and at one point he spent a day in jail, spent a night in jail. And so I was pretty close to this uncle, and I gave him a ride, but we were talking along the way, and I said, why don't you just stop? Where are you going? He said, you got to drop me off at this bar, this restaurant. I'm meeting my friends there. And I said, this is the thing that got you into trouble in the first place, and why don't you stop this whole thing, the whole drinking? And he said, but it's so fun. He literally said this to me. He said, but it's so fun. I mean, you don't understand, going out with the friends and drinking and smoking and, and having dinner and just laughing, and man, it's just so fun. And sometimes we go dancing, and I'm like, I didn't know my uncle could dance, but so he was just he was so focused on the wrong thing. I'm not saying it's wrong to have fun. I'm not even saying it's wrong to have a drink or whatever. I personally don't drink or smoke, but that's a personal decision. But I'm all about having fun and hanging out with friends. But if you focus on that, and the focus becomes so focused that it sort of, tips you one way, and it sort of tips you off balance, then it's not good anymore. It's not. You start losing things in your life that you should not lose. And he lost his life. My uncle lost his life, literally, and I saw him as he was going through chemotherapy, and he was lying in his bed, and just a few, a month before he passed away. And I saw that, and I said, man, this is the same uncle. He was so active, and he was so, and I remember those things growing up and going to his house and so forth. But, he just didn't have a very focused, a balanced focus. My point today is this. Guys especially, I guess, it seems to me in my experience and my observation that guys are usually ones who screw this up, and I understand. I'm a guy, a lot of us are goal-oriented, we're ambitious, we want to achieve things, we want to win, we're competitive. I totally get it, 100%, I get that. But what I've learned in life is that that's all good, and it's good to focus, and it's good to make your business successful, and it's all good, it's all good. There's nothing wrong with that, and working hard, and it's great. But you got to multitask focus. You can't just focus. You can't focus on your business so much at the expense of your health. You can't so focus on your business that it takes a toll on your family. You can't be so focused on your business that you lose focus of your meaning in life. If you only focus on one thing to the detriment of other things that are just as important or more important in your life, you're losing focus, actually. You're losing focus. So you got to focus on the critical things. There's not a lot of things in life that are really, really, really meaningful. They're not. There are a few things. But if you focus on your business, and I say business and work because that's an easy, natural thing to do for most guys. It's just, okay, I'm going to focus on my business. I'm going to focus on it. Cool. I'm with you on that. I do that too. But you also got to focus on your relationship, your family, your wife and kids. You got to focus on your family. You got to make sure that you spend time. And it's not just spending time. You got to make sure they are a priority, that is a bigger priority. Because if your kids hate you and you're 65 years old and you got a lot of money, is it worth it? Was it worth it? No, I don't think anybody would say it was. So you gotta spend time with them. You gotta make sure that you're involved. You gotta make sure you know what's going on. You gotta make sure that relationship is solid and is good. And if you focus on your business and your career, which again is great, you also got to focus on your health. I jokingly say to my friend, dude, we're not 20 anymore, man. So we can't do it like we can't work and we can't do that like we were 20 years old. Okay. Our bodies don't really allow us to anymore. Being 50 years old is very different than being 20 years old. Okay. The mind is willing, but the body is not, right? It's just not the same. It just isn't. It's just a reality. So if you've been working, 60, 70 hours when you were 30 years old, and you're still trying to do that, and you're burning the candle on both ends, okay, and your body is just deteriorating. You're not taking care of your health. You're not sleeping well. You're eating crap. You're drinking and smoking. Sometimes you're doing drugs. Oh, man, if you're doing that, you are now going down a hole that you may not be able to get out of. So you got to get out of that. You got to stop. You got to take care of your body. You got to take care of your health. You got to make that a priority. You have to make it a priority. You got to focus on it. It doesn't just happen. Okay. And so you got to focus on all of these things. Maybe you're so focused on your business and your career and you're making a lot of money, but you haven't been focused on your debts. And so you just keep purchasing and purchasing and buying and buying and buying, but you're really just racking up more debt. You buy, your house is big enough, but you buy a bigger house. Your car is good enough, but you buy 2 other, cars, and you get loans on these things. So you're just going deeper and deeper into debt, and you're not focused on paying those off at all. And you're just thinking, man, someday I'll pay it off. Someday. There's no someday. You got to start doing it today. I'm talking to guys primarily. The vast majority of cases, what I've seen and I've experienced and observed in my life, these problems occur mostly with guys. So guys, we got to get our act straight, man. You can't just keep doing that. You got to focus on your health as well as your work, your family and your kids and your wife as much as you do in your career and business. Does that mean working fewer hours? Sometimes it does, right? Sometimes it does. And over the last several years, so I just tell you, look, when I started my business, when I left the corporate world, and when I decided to become an entrepreneur, the first probably 6-7 years, I worked 363 days a year. Literally, I took Thanksgiving Day and Christmas Day off, and I worked every other day of the year. I worked 7 days a week. I would work 60 hours, 70 hours, no problem. On Saturdays, I would start at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I go until 11:30 at night straight, And I teach like 50 students on my own in the summers. It was crazy. But I was loving it because I was like, man, this is my business growing. I'm getting known. I mean, people are coming to me. The demand is high and I'm getting paid and it's great. It was fun. And it still is fun. But I wisened up because over a period of time, I said, you know what? My kids are growing up a little bit. My kids are getting a little bit. Now, fortunately for me, when I started my business, my kids were very, very young. And so they were, I was able to do that, I think, a little bit more easily than had they been a little bit older. But as I got older, they turn 5, they turn 6, they get 7, and so forth. And I decided, no, you know what? I want to spend more time with them. It's not even like I have to. I want to. I really want to. And this was one of the reasons I left the corporate world, is to spend more time with my kids. And so I started taking like 5th weeks off. I started taking Sundays off. I pared down my hours on Saturday. I used to work 13 and a half hours straight. And right now, I work 11:30 to 5:30. What is that? 6 hours. That seems really wimpy to me, like working like that. Sometimes I joke to myself, think, man, you're lazy, only working 6 days and you're only working like that. Okay. And then starting in what is it right now? August. So starting this October, I'm also going to take Saturdays off, And so I've been taking more and more time off as my business has grown. On purpose. This is a very intentional planned thing because I want to spend more time with my kids. I want to spend more time with my family. And so this is an intentional, scheduled strategy. And I'm just saying, the only reason I'm saying this is say, look, I don't want to, pretend like I'm saying something and I'm not doing it myself. I'm just telling you, and I exercise every day. I work out every day. I try to stay fit. Cardio and strength, and you got to do what you got to do. And recently I picked up, I bought a mountain bike and I bike. This is so wimpy to some of you who really bike and work out, but I bike about 3-4 miles a day, most days. And for me, for right now, that's pretty good, in addition to some of the other things I do. But I love biking. I always loved it. I just haven't done it in many, many, many years. So it's another thing I do. But whatever you like to do, you got to stay active. You got to take care of your health. You got to be careful of the things you eat. If you drink and smoke, I would urge you to just stop. You know, it's just for your health, man. You know, it's just so that you don't ruin your health. And I've seen people in my life personally whose health have been ruined, whose lives have been lost because you know, they put junk into their body, too much junk into their body. So focus is great, men. Focus is great, guys. It's great, man. I think it's very important, and I'm very focused on the things that I do. But I've learned, look, we got to be focused on the other important things in life too. It's not just about growing our business and climbing the corporate ladder and making a lot of money. And certainly those things are, you know, not trivial. They're not trivial, but you got to focus on your health. You got to focus on your family. You got to focus on the meaning in your life and what are you living for. And you got to be mindful of those things and aware and not just focus on one thing. Because if you do that, you can get out of balance and all the other things. I don't want you to lose all the other things in your life. And so take it as coming from a friend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.